SG Empower, and now everyone. Let's see whether there is sound. Okay, share sound is there. Okay. So today we are very privileged to have Dr. Michael Tan with us. Today he's going to share about understanding the most fundamental factor that may affect your ability in achieving optimum health, relationship, and optimum abundance. So welcome an introduction towards understanding how the environment, particularly geopathic stress, may affect each and every one of us in the process of globalization, modernization, and urbanization. So just an introduction about Dr. Mike. He's an electrical engineer as a background, and Dr. Michael Tan saw the correlation of the electrical field converging both the human biological and the electrical system, and pursued of a naturopathic doctor from the Institute of Natural Science. He studied electromeridian imaging from the University of Landau and YINS College. So he founded the Life Research Private Limited in 2012, and to provide total health and wellness solutions and optimization by integrating methodologies of predictive training. So in 2014, the company successfully developed the Geo Origin technology and the Geo Wellness health and wellness solution to address geopathic stress and providing optimum health and wellness management. So he's currently the lead consultant to the Dream Homes Cyberjaya development in Kuala Lumpur. Shall we put our hands together to welcome Dr. Michael Tan? So,
hello, good evening, everyone. Let me put on the slide. Yes, I believe all of you have a long day, and especially this time where most of us may be still staying indoor. And we probably did not know that we are actually an indoor generation for the last many years. Only COVID make us more aware that we have become an indoor generation. And being an indoor generation, today, if you look at the newspaper, we are facing more and more anxiety, depression, stress, quarrel, even, unfortunately, some divorce cases. So how are we going to address all this? So let us take a look, starting from social and mental well-being for overall well-being, right? So what constitutes overall well-being? Your emotional health, your financial health, your intellectual health, your environmental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, and many more. But today we're going to touch on one subject that is going to keep us running during this challenging period, and that is your biological energy, or sometimes known as your biological battery, right? So with this biological battery and energy, the most important thing is, how do we know we are achieving optimum performance, just our cell phone, right? So during this period, we have to literally look at how we plan and how we think beyond the next 5 years at least, because we know that the COVID is here to stay and the challenge will be here, and we have to keep adapting.
Michael, you are muted.
Okay. Now, based on the American Institute of Research, at this point of time, up to 2020 onwards, 1 in 3 and 1 in 4 are facing more depression and anxiety. And you know, all these will eventually lead to all possible health challenge, including things like stroke, heart attack, and maybe even the extreme is cancer, right? And we know that disease have also been rising long before COVID has appeared in front of us. And if you look at this chart according to Straits Times, not actively engaging in risk management, we see an increase in diabetes, heart attack, cancer, and stroke. Now, how do we explain all this and how do we reduce and prevent such things from occurring on top of the stress we are facing today, beside the aging population, right? So there are 5 challenges that is literally overlooked until COVID. Maybe we become more aware of some of these challenges, right? Understanding the health risk and implementing a risk management. Now, in view of COVID, we have introduced social distancing. We have now become aware of social hygiene, right? And of course, today, we may even have to be locked down in order to practice risk management to reduce the spread of this pandemic. And of course, we need to educate the end user and provide an ongoing awareness like this summit that Veron from Energia is holding, and many other conferences has been held worldwide. So we also need to start to realize that we actually spend, including now, we actually indoor. Maybe from morning till now, some of you may be at home working. From the moment you go to sleep to you wake up to work to back to sleep, you're still at home. So whether in the office or whether you're at home, we are still indoor, working, living, playing, and resting. So we are highly depending on the indoor environment, right? So we have to review the current environment, whether it have the capacity to support healthy working, playing, human resource health and wellness sustainability, the air we breathe, the light we work, the water we drink. But more important is the geomagnetic, which we will look at it deeper, why it is a fundamental. And of course, continuously, we look forward that Veron will hold conference like this probably every month to keep providing regular update so that we are constantly updated, informed, and the community support. Yeah. Right. So the loss of health plus mental wellness is definitely a loss of income. Whether you can work or you can't work, the increase in overhead and the inability to perform. And both of these have extremely major impact on each and every family today. So what next? There are many possibilities. Number one, make sure that you go for your vaccine for those who are ready. For those who are not ready, the time will come, right? Of course, there are very controversial information, which we are not going to talk about it, right? However, you can also carry on practicing your hygiene, doing your fitness at home, but there's always a core fundamental that keep all this performance or functional performance happening or alive. So just before we go deeper, these are some of the international projects and conferences that I have handled over the last many years. And coming up on the 25th, 26th, 27th will be another World of Wellness conference held internationally. As you can see that there are many international speakers and it's featured across the whole world, including TED, CNN, and of course, I'm one of the keynote speakers, right? Now, these are the projects I've handled that in 1/8, Malaysia have decided through this developer to bring wellness, not even knowing that COVID may happen, right? While this property is under construction, it is the first property that bring wellness to each and every home. You don't have to go out to look for wellness, and it's featured in each property and at the same time, Medical Expo magazine, right? And these are some of the other project that I'm continuously handling, right? Including Atrium Mall, one of the largest shopping center within PJ, right? And as you can see, there is a small little tuning device here that's installed within the shopping center. We have dozens of it installed to regulate the geomagnetic field when it becomes erratic, right? So to understand deeper what is this all about, then we look at the science of life force frequency. Now let's watch this short video, which is about 2 minutes.
Obviously being dissolved in it, when he stumbled upon something that would challenge the very principles of science. All life comes from life. This is a fundamental principle of science, and one which has never been violated in any experiment. Life can only exist where life has existed before. And the mechanism for this has always been understood to be a material one, such as egg and sperm or spore and cell division. But Luc Montagnier's experiments have offered a very different hypothesis. The professor showed that DNA sequences, the very building blocks of life, communicate with each other in water by emitting low-frequency electromagnetic waves. Even when the DNA was kept in separate test tubes, the professor still recorded electromagnetic communication between them. How sophisticated could this communication be? Well, Luc Montagnier showed they are able to organize nucleotides, the ingredients which actually make up DNA, into brand new DNA.
So nucleotide is like all the ingredients in your food that make your final
Science has
dish.
combined these ingredients countless times before, but in no experiment have they ever been able to recreate the spark of life and transform nucleotides into actual DNA,
So
not
even
without
with all the
DNA
ingredients,
already
they
being
could not
present.
create DNA.
Life, after all, can only exist where life has existed before. But in Luc Montagnier's experiments, the DNA had been completely filtered from the water.
So this is a very interesting
Yet new DNA was still
phenomenon
formed.
in terms of scientific research when there was no ingredient and they managed to recreate.
Just how was this
life force.
possible?
Means they are
How had
cooking
Luc
a dish
Montagnier
without
managed to
ingredient.
achieve
How could that
what
be
no other
possible?
scientist could, and create life where no life was present? What was so different about Luc Montagnier's experiments? There was the presence of a frequency which, when removed, would cause the experiments to fail, but when present, would ensure that they would succeed.
So in simple
That
terms,
frequency
there's no
was
7.83, there's
7.83
no
Hz,
life.
human
And
resonance.
means that there's no 7.83, there's no biological battery, there's no charge.
A delicate relationship had been struck between life and the frequency of the planet. An interaction of living organisms and electromagnetic frequencies. A reliance. A bond. Evidence of this can be found by reading the science papers. But more obvious proof can be found by simply walking outside. How did all this happen? Well, when you look at the history of the Earth, it seems pretty obvious. Human waves have been part of this planet since the very beginning.
And human
Life
wave
evolves
is also
surrounded
known
by
as
them.
Mother Earth heartbeat. And it was discovered in
inevitably,
1953 by W.O. Schumann, known as
In
Schumann
fact,
wave.
our sensitivity to frequency became deeply connected to our ability to sense another of the planet's phenomena. Two billion years ago,
Yes. So only when 7.83 is stable, it gives birth to life. Without it, life will not be in existence. So the life force, which is also known as your biological battery, or in Chinese, sometimes we call it your qi gong, your qi, or your pranic, are all stimulated, created through 7.83 Hz, discovered in 1953 by W.O. Schumann, known as Mother Earth heartbeat. So what happened when we get stressed up? Our heartbeat get erratic. So now what happened when Mother Earth and the environment get stressed up, including COVID? The frequency get even more stressed up, and we are tuned to this frequency. So now you imagine that we are staying 90% indoor, and each and every home, beside human stress, biological stress, environmental stress, emotional stress, overwork stress, over expenditure stress, Earth itself under stress, we are all in a microwave or in the pressure cooker, keep boiling, and there's no way we know what is going to happen. So it's only a matter of time that something happens, right? So 7.83 Schumann wave or Schumann resonance is also known as a fundamental source of life force or life energy, discovered in 1953. And incidentally, if you look at it, Mother Earth heartbeat is 7.83 Hz. Human cellular potential is minus 70 millivolt. Human heartbeat is 70 beats per minute. Of course, there's variation. And the universe was created in 7 days with 7 weeks, 7 days in the week, not 7 weeks, 7 days in the week, 7 colors in the rainbow, and many others, and including a pH of 7, right? So this is a very unique number to remember, right? And of course, like what Veronica have shared in her first day workshop, is that human, unlike machine, have very small tolerance. We have extreme tolerance of operating voltage between minus 20 millivolt to 110. But of course, we do not want to swing daily between 20 to 100 because all our body will go into highly imbalanced. And this will create the loss of homeostasis at the expense of dysfunction of the organ later. So in order to achieve optimum voltage, many of us are familiar that we practice Qigong, but it's still not enough because we have many Qigong practitioners who have come to us. Despite practicing, they still have mental struggle, which later, if Veron may, she will play a short video showing someone who have gone into Institute of Mental Health, courtesy of this good friend who is willing to share, right? So during this period, is every one of us experiencing exhaustion? Yes. Very low energy due to lack of sleep, due to worry, due to overwork, right? Because with Zoom, you can be called to work anytime now, unfortunately. And
24 hours not enough.
Yeah, 24, right? And of course, even this workshop, we are all staring at the computer for the next 1 to 1.5 hours. So without understanding how the wave react with us, we may be under tremendous vision stress. So before we carry on further, I hope everybody have turned their screen to night screen or cinematic screen. So all your video or your handphone will cut off the Blu-ray so it doesn't hurt you that badly, right? And of course, when you don't have energy, you cannot concentrate. So it leads to preclinical and post-clinical challenges, including early onset of dementia, Parkinson, loss of memory, unable to focus, unable to sleep, right? Now, of course, our duty, our professionalism, our aim, our vision, my research is together with people like Veron, is to provide you an ability to recharge your biological battery so that it adds years to your life, and of course, life to your years, which means quality living, not how long. And where do you get this charge from? You get fully charged 8 hours when you experience quality sleep. And there's only one place, and that's your home, right? Because 80% of the time, you may spend 20% of the time traveling, going for a holiday, working, but 80% of the time, you have to sleep at home. And that's the only place that will charge you. And when your biological battery is fully restored, this is what you get: restoration and optimization. First, you get rejuvenated, then you are ready to charge for the next 5 to 10 years and carry on readjusting to suit whatever challenge that we will face, right? Now, our biological battery is highly dependent on what? The PEMF, which is known as human frequency, 7.83 provided by Mother Earth. It is the primary support for human function, the biological function, which are our organ, right? The physiological is the ability to move and others, and of course, the ability to think, just like a mobile phone, right? You must have your battery, and the battery must be able to be distributed across the circuit board to every part of your mobile phone, from your keypad to your RAM, to your software, to your chip, to your screen, right? Including even the circuit that manage the power, including the charge and the usage. So when the power is in optimum, like a cell phone, then the function of the entire system can work properly, similar to human, the biological organ and the system. And then you can keep upgrading your software to ensure that your function work in optimum to provide you beyond the fundamental of function, which is food that you need to keep us going, exercise, financial happiness, relationship happiness, and others. Now, just imagine if your cell phone is now to 5–10%, what would you do? You'll start to look for a battery bank or to look for a charger. But the next question is, everyone who is listening in, one very important question: what is your biological battery capacity at whatever age you are in now? Now, we monitored from our car petrol to our bank account, to our economy, to our share market, to our cell phone, to our computer, everything we monitored. The last thing is we will run this human most powerful machine until we run out of battery and we collapse. And recently, I think yesterday, one of the top seed badminton player in Indonesia, I believe he's 36 years old, he collapsed and passed away, unfortunately, right? So where do we find geomagnetic radiation? Is through the earth and straight into the home. That's why sometimes we call it the Mother Earth nourish our home nourish ourselves through the Schumann resonance, and it provide a balanced field, and it help us to sleep better. It protect us against all form of erratic field. As a result, the body is able to heal and also to restore the energy. But what happened when these beautiful wave that give birth to energy, life, and healing get distorted? It is now known as geopathic stress, which is a term hardly known to most Singaporean until probably more recent time. Now, geopathic stress have been known to the world for thousands of years, but only made scientific barely about 200 years ago by the scientific community in Germany, and make even more pronounced, more known to the public only in the last part of the century, right? So geopathic stress come from anything that's underground, from your water vein to your MRT to your cable line, or even a crack that we cannot see. That's the reason why a lot of people will actually go up to the mountain for the retreat, especially all the guru, all the health and wellness master. But we have to come down to the city to make a living, right? But unfortunately, for most of us, 90% of this point of time, we can't even fly. In fact, 100% we can't even fly. And Singapore have only a Bukit Timah hill that we can go up for our retreat, right? So the only thing is to know how can we protect our home to make it similar to the mountain energy, right? So these two famous guys, Hartman and Curry, which is more well introduced by Veron in her individual talk on geopathic, is known as Dr. Hartman and Dr. Curry. And these are the two set of basic grid out of approximately 13 set of known grid. Yeah, the rest of the grid, if we happen to find it, is going to be even more damaging, right? But this is the basic, this is like your main artery and your main vessel. Now, if these two grid is blocked, we are in trouble, right? And of course, who make this well known? Again, the German. Dr. Veronica, 1985, the wife of former German president. And then, of course, Gustav von Pohl, the guy who makes so much research and make it well known to the world in the 30s that he delivered to the Congress, medical Congress. And of course, all these are also made possible, funded by the Ministry of Housing, Austria, right? So you can see in 1988-89, it is funded by the Housing Research Fund from Austria, Ministry of Economic, and then 700 terminal cancer patients relocate their sleeping space and spontaneous healing took place. And one will not get cancer unless one sleep long hour in geopathic stress. Now, of course, cancer is only one of it that is the most heavily researched in Germany. But today, heart attack, cardiovascular, and today we are looking at mental stress because of enhanced stress that we are facing, right? And what effect it have beside ourselves, our home, our loved one, it also have effect on people who are in business, right? Especially if you are in property development or you're running a business. So you may find your business get harder. You may find that there's no one visiting you, right? And then sometimes you find that whatever project you have in mind cannot move forward smoothly, and you face problem with your neighbor, and of course, you find suddenly a negative turn when people are doing well. Now, for the residential, you'll find sleep difficulty. Usually, it will always come with chronic and lack of energy, chronic pain, chronic lack of energy, chronic disturbance, chronic emotional challenge, right? And of course, all these will lead to poor performance and poor relationship. And uniquely, some of us may experience very regular or frequent electrical failure, like one of our ex-colleague, yeah, her aircon failed, yeah, her plant didn't grow, her TV every 2 years, people TV 10 years, 20 years need to change, her TV change every 2-3 years, right? So these are all signs that your home have become a very toxic home. Especially if you go to Malaysia, you see a lot of buildings built halfway, they are abandoned, right? Yeah, this is a very common sign in all the big countries. Right. So how we do and understand, we create an auditing standard, which we have set up this across 12 countries over the last 7 years. Right. So everyone, as what Veron have offered, high support from Energia is $68 where you send your plan with your name and address to Veron. Then the back end, we will provide you an audit to tell you where are all the stress line, the orange line and the black line, remember? And then from there, we will give you the amplitude that determine the stress level of each house. And of course, for those who want to go further, we will also offer you the solution, which Veron can talk about it. Yes, right. So who are the people who use dowsing, which is one component of understanding where are the stress lines and what are the amplitude? Is always the military, the narcotic, right now to a certain group of people which use it, you know, to look for example mine or look for cave. And in fact, the geobiologists and the people who mine for coal, for diamond, for gold, all uses this same technology, right? Now, we now go into a little bit of history. Long before modernization, history have already know how to manage irregular field. Example, the Roman, when they conquered a land, they will put a herds of sheep or animal, and after 6 months, they will slaughter it for food. But if they find disease in the animal, they will not build the land or harvest the land because they know that the land is highly toxic. Now, the Bavarian, which are the early German, will bring ants. Now, if the ant build an ant mold, again, the German will not build their province, their city, or the town. They will shift. So now you will start to probably observe that why big civilization like the Mayan, the Aztec, the Borobudur, the Angkor Wat, they've been fully abandoned suddenly because there is a change in the electric field that cannot be back at all. Yeah, because during construction, the electromagnetic field have not reached the amplitude that is not biological friendly. So instead of trying to salvage it, they all migrate out of that space. However, in city, we cannot abandon a city, right? So since the day of the Egyptian, they have learned to do earth acupuncture. So in this case, you will see in many public square across the whole Europe, yeah, and of course in Singapore, you probably know where, you will see a monument, which is usually known as a monument for the purpose of war memorial, for the purpose of friendship and others, or the memory of famous people are always installed. And in this particular picture, which I captured in Quebec, you can see there is a crack line. So this archive faithfully documented the geostress. And of course, 100 years later, when there's no tar to a tar road, you can see that subtly the crack line is still there. However, the acupuncture or the monument remain the same, and the building have shifted at least 30 meters further, whereas the early picture, the building was right on top of the stress line, right? Now, next, we look at Argentina downtown CBD. You can see the amount of land dedicated to just car. No building is built on top. Why? Because this is a big stress line, and you look at it, there's a circle, and there's another set of route that go this way, which we can't see here. And again, the acupuncture, which the Egyptian call it the obelisk, and normally you call it the monument or friendship monument. And this is the world's tallest created in 1847 by George Washington, 555 feet, right? And of course, this is in Paris. And of course, if you look at the Vatican City, right at St. Peter's Square, there's also one there, right? And in the good old days, if you start to look at Stonehenge, you'll find that the Chinese feng shui call it Si Gang Tang, right? It's a granite rock that is plugged vertical, right? Because it is known that the silica or the quartz in the granite itself is a form of tuning fork, right? So again, we now explore a little bit further. This is the famous Hong Kong Victoria Harbour. And instead of plugging a monument, which they can't because the country is so prosperous and so vibrant, they built one acupuncture here and one here, right? And if you look at 1699, a Dutch archive, you will see exactly at the harbor somewhere in China, a pagoda and an obelisk. And if you look at the top of the pagoda and you look at the king chamber and you look at the electrical isolator, they are all built with the same technical spec. So it is a form of energy regulator, right? And how did I develop the whole system? First is because I was fortunate, or with grace, I met Dr. Konstantin Karakov from St. Petersburg University, and he has spent 30 years researching vibrational energy from Machu Picchu to Angkor Wat. So his early data permit me to complete my 20 years research instead of I do another 30 years to collect his data, right? So this is Professor Karakov and his beautiful wife, Irina. And this is the machine. Of course, there are many other machines. This is one machine that we use to collect waveform of a single space for weeks, months, and sometimes even years. So when all the waves are collected, it is then summarized into visual wave. So now if you look at all these three waves, they are highly erratic and high amplitude. So this is very similar to a earthquake or a pre-earthquake or just a post-earthquake. Now, of course, Professor Karakov have done a lot of study in all the Aborigines area and try to understand how all civilization have been able to regulate this wave. Yeah. So a regulated wave, you find that most of the high amplitude spike are reduced to a more harmonious wave. So this is what we want in our home, not this. And if you were to type in Schumann resonant frequency in your Google, you will find that every time you hear an earthquake and you type Schumann live frequency, plus minus 10 days before an earthquake or tsunami, you will find that the live frequency will spike 10 to 60 times. Especially last year when we have the COVID and China and around the world have massive flood, Schumann frequency have spiked almost 60, 70 times, right? Yeah. So this is almost like having a heart attack. This was the early day where I start doing the research with older technology, which was burnt out during the research, right? So we are able to study the interaction with water, with crystal, with nutrition, with practically everything that you can think of that we can put in here, even a drop of saliva, we can see how the wave change actually, right? So as Veron have shared in her last workshop, which was just Monday, Dr. Otto already in 1931 have already discovered stored energy, biological energy or capacity. And through the wonderful system known as archiograph or electromeridian, we are able to literally study the stored energy, the inactive or energy collapsing, and the stability, right? And all this is thanks to the Germans since the 30s and the 40s that we have such beautiful system today, right? So here you can see that we are created with an operating voltage or optimum voltage of 70 millivolt with a moderate pH 7 to 8 max, right? However, when the voltage dropped due to the inability to get our body charged each night when we sleep due to erratic field, eventually we also get our pH and loss of efficient biological function that lead to inflammation, toxicity, and then of course chronic illnesses, including mental stress. And of course, vice versa, mental stress will lead to biological dysfunction eventually, right? So 30 years of research by another famous scientist, MASARU Emoto, water hidden message. Now, this is in alignment with homeostasis, because even you have optimum power, but your distribution go to only one ministry. The rest of the ministry you don't like, you don't give money, so they cannot perform efficiently, right? So the ability to send good message across the whole body is being registered, researched by MASARU Emoto through water crystal. Right. So water has a memory, and it carries within our thought and prayer, and of course today the anti-environmental vibration that even bypass when we are meditating. Because remember, even you're meditating, you switch off your mind, but your 70 to 50 trillion cell is still registering the vibrational frequency of the environment. So imagine when the field is erratic, it's like every day we are stressed up, we are angry, we are frustrated. Every morning you wake up, you say, you make me sick. This is what happened to a water molecule and its memory, and we are 70% water. So no matter how much you can do, unless you meditate 24/7. Now, meditation is fantastic because it shuts off all the senses. But there's one senses that we cannot shut out, the natural interaction of the two fields between the external and the internal. So we need a modulator, a regulator, unless we can go up to the mountain. That's why all meditator usually will go to the forest, go to the mountain, far away from EMF, right? So this is Hiro Emoto. Unfortunately, Masaru Emoto gave his life away trying to save and help all the people affected by Fukushima nuclear contamination. So now the job is left to the son, Hiro, Dr. Vincent, the executive chairman, and fortunately, I got the chance to meet them, and we are now looking at how to work together to carry on the legacy. So you can see that this is Masaru Hiro Emoto, his baseline, and when you hold the handphone, a mobile, immediately certain organ go into dysfunction. So with a proper managed oscillator, we can bring him back almost instantaneously, right? So this is what happened when, imagine 70% water in our body are exposed to EMF and GMF, stand for geomagnetic radiation or field or electromagnetic field. And of course, through proper calibrating and designing from the pendant to the home system, we are able to restore balance again, right? So this is how fast the baby react, because the baby do not know what you say. The baby only sense the vibration through the sound and through the wave. So let's watch this short film.
Hi, funny girl. Can you laugh? Can you laugh? Can you go? Can you go ha ha ha?
So you can see this is a
Can you
balanced
go?
harmonious wave. This is a high amplitude erratic wave. But unfortunately, after we pass age of 7, we literally have got no more senses anymore. Yeah, even someone give you poison, you probably take it if you trust the person, right? Or even the dog is just 10 meters trying to bite you, you probably don't even know, unlike the early cavemen, they'll run for their life. Right? Yeah. So here are some case study. Now, this is in 2017. I carried out every month about 15 days in China, giving talk in all the major city. And of course, this is one of the furthest towards the west, which is Xi'an. And you can see that this is a good size condominium. And you look at the crack here. Now, this is the family that invite me to their home because they have business and relationship issue. Now, this one, there is a crack here, and this tree is dead, right? This home have medical issue. Then this is in the 5th Ring Road where the MRT stop right in front of this house, and you can look at all the geopathic crack, right? So this family here have pregnancy challenges, right? This is one of the biggest projects I carried out in the city of Prague in Siberia, right? This is their city center. The project I carried out was here. And of course, before I go, I do all my audit and I say, can y'all bring me here? And when the architect nearly brought me to this site after we solved this area problem or challenges, then we saw a monument similar to the earlier acupuncture of monument that we have mentioned. Unfortunately, this is unlike a typical obelisk. It is too art-based design, and of course, the energy is thrown out chaotically, creating massive crack around the whole monument. And of course, there are many cancer patients within this area. And of course, they're only 30 kilometers away from the nuclear test site. So you can imagine the underground water is so toxic, right? So this is architect Nelly, right? This is in AIA Shenzhen, where we installed the tuning fork, sometimes we call it the acupuncture, sometimes we call it the harmonizer, sometimes we call it, it can be many, many different names, but the purpose is to regulate, to ensure better relationship between all the sales manager and the sales agent. And this agency went on a year later to be the #1 agency in Shenzhen, right? Now, this is another home that cost $5 million. Very successful businessman. They built yachts for the super rich, but during the peak of the business, the two creator, innovator went into a lawsuit, unfortunately, after shifting into this house for barely a year. So you can see that many other artifacts have been installed, but eventually we were called in to harmonize the space. And within a year, the entire lawsuit was settled out of court amicably, right? And you can see that they have also dedicated a very nice area to their own faith, right? So remember, faith and electromagnetic field are two separate laws, which is another subject that for those who are interested can inquire with Veron, because we conduct very in-depth course, right? So this is, unfortunately, we call a cancer house in Singapore. Until I met this lady in 17, I heard of cancer house, but I do not experience it. The father died from cancer, the mother died from cancer, the sister died from cancer. She had third-stage cancer. So you can see that, again, despite all classic and tradition, the house have cracked. Yeah, and the home is only about half a kilometer from a very, very big power station in Rangoon Road area. So if you travel to Rangoon Road from Ceylon, not from this Lavender, all the way, if you turn to Rangoon, you'll see a big substation beside the Indian Association or Indian Club, right? So this is another classic based in Saudi. As you know, Saudi are very traditional and classic in the way the people live, especially the women there. They have to abide by a very strict rule. So this lady at 42 have cancer 3 years ago and went through a remission, but eventually at the end of 3 years, the cancer starts spreading to her bone, to her scalp, and to her left breast, which I do not show here for privacy, right? Unless I meet those cancer patients one-to-one, then we may use it just to give people an understanding, which doesn't represent that everybody is going to heal the same speed and the same efficiency. So in her case, you find that the home that she stay and the place she sleep, right? Her oncologist is here, and then patient have chemo, right? And of course, she did not wish to follow another time, and the radiation for the scalp, yeah, doctors are not very open, unfortunately, right? So you can see that our partner in Saudi asked if she can take a look, and she never really paid much attention, and her condition is nothing like what the therapists have seen, right? So this is the effect of the bed area. This is where she sleeps, and you look at the line that is cutting her whole body. Yeah, right. And the particular area where her breast cancer have manifested or metastasized, right? Yeah, right. Now, this is a very interesting study because she's in Singapore, and just before the lockdown in 2020, I managed to visit her, yeah, And because after she shifted into this home, within less than a year, she got an operation. Her son nail turned purple without any explanation, and her husband lost his job. So they have applied everything they know, but things keep getting worse. So when we first measured her from health perspective, you can see how suppressed and how imbalanced her 12 meridian and certain organs are very low, right? And half an hour, 10 minutes or half an hour after we harmonize the place, and you can see that her body start restoring, right? So this is where she slept, and this is where her ovarian have an operation. This is where the boy sleep, and this is where the boy faced a challenge. As you can see, the nails start turning purple for no reason. Today, they are all restored, right? Yeah, so this was before we harmonized, and this is after harmonizing, barely 10 minutes, right? Now, again, this is another interesting case study. Our dear friend was born in Bedok New Town almost 40 years ago. And many years ago, when he came with his wife to see me, again through referral, find that at the age of 20 something, 30, after staying about 20 years in Bedok, he started to develop eczema. And the eczema is really bad. If you look at the leg, it's bleeding, right? And of course, this is the house. You can see the stress level is up to 1004. And we know anything above 500 is already highly toxic. Above 1000 is actually highly destructive. However, this fine print here, we can't see clearly. The wife wrote to me and says, shift in since the new estate was perfectly healthy, and until 30 years later, suddenly he developed and nothing have helped him, right? Then of course, after the first month of installing the harmonizer, they have seen the eczema improve a lot, right? Without doing anything. Yeah. So this is when you harmonize the field, the body get fully charged each night you sleep, all the functions start activating again. Now, combining with other mode of therapy like nutritional therapy, emotional therapy, you will accelerate the result. Normally, you may need 9 months to heal. Now, you may need 3 weeks to heal, right? This is a 26 years old lady, yeah, in 2016, worked in Shenzhen, stayed in the dormitory, about 50 to 80 square feet, very small, just a small bed and a table or small cabinet. And barely 6 months, she developed right limb node cancer. So here again is a classic of, you can see all the line hitting her. Luckily, it's not a 4 line, it's only a 3 line. And again, fortunately, there's a small cubicle space that we shift the bed down, which is not possible today, since the last time we did about 200 auditing through the earlier sleep challenge. We find that the grid is getting very tight in Singapore or in all major cities after traveling about 12 countries. And of course, we also rush a harmonizer, yeah, and install it. And within a month later, her biopsy showed that she had recovered. And then eventually she get out of this working space, went back to Sichuan, got married, and give birth to a beautiful baby girl just 2 years ago in one night, right? So here we have come to the end. What is a solution and what kind of safety? Now, the solution started not by Michael, not by engineering and technology. As early as the Egyptian, they already discovered quartz. That's why the obelisks have been created. But they also have made and miniaturized the Horus Wang for the pharaoh, the king, to hold, similar to acupuncture, which for those interested, you can go to the internet and do your research. There's a 300-page scientific documentation that is published by St. Petersburg's University. If you can get your hand on it, it explains everything, right? So with this, we have actually just rediscovered and upgraded it. So today we have the wearable, yeah, and then we have the miniature for people who travel 80 to 90% of their time in sleeping in hotel room, because this only covered a very small area of 16 square meter. And we have the complete home system up to 5,000 square feet or 500 square meter in a set of 3. And commercial is audited separately because we do not know each location how the amplitude work. But home, we have actually standardized it, right? And of course, the wearable, which is a miniature version of the big home system, are fully tested by TUV and SGS for radioactivity, and we have surpassed the standard of 0.1 permitted by NEA. We have achieved 0.01, so technically about 10 times lower than the environmental approved radioactive wave. So the benefit of harmonizing and auditing your house, and of course, when you have a harmonious view at home, number one, most people experience quality sleep within the first 3 months. Yeah, and as you sleep better due to the harmonious wave, obviously with proper 7.83, it regulates your pineal gland, your melatonin, and your cell membrane potential so that you can sleep better, eat better, work better, and work out better to achieve optimum power. And with this, you've seen in the earlier slide that you have better balance within the 12 meridian, creating optimum homeostasis for the biological function. And then, of course, better biological function when you have homeostasis, right? And then, of course, enhanced mental wellness. And of course, to be able to withstand more stress due to better clarity, focus, because you can cope up with it. It's like having a cell phone and you carry a big battery bank. So you are not afraid that when there's poor Wi-Fi, it drains your battery flat, right? And of course, when you're able to cope with stress because you are able to stay focused and you're clear despite all the challenge, right? And more important, in this period, we only have one thing to keep ourselves healthy and able to perform for ourselves and for the family and for the society, is to make sure that our immune system remain in optimum performance. Yeah, because you see the newspaper, there are people who even after vaccination, their immune system may be weak and they may be infected again or contaminated again, right? And of course, most important, performance and relationship. The moment you lose your health, you will lose your performance. Eventually, you lose the happiness, right? So this is one of the most recent one, which I just done about 2 weeks back. And you can see that this is a beautiful bungalow in the Grade A district. And you know, it's around the Bukit Timah. And despite the house is so beautiful and the owner cannot sleep well. So finally, after knowing us, he decided to get us to audit the house. And after auditing, despite he's only experiencing between 500 to 700 units of toxicity, he still want to install it. He don't want to wait for any further because you're already experiencing sleep for many years. So this is one guy who is having good relationship and happiness, having good financial stability, but sleep is always a challenge. And you know, those who cannot sleep will treasure sleep when they found sleep again. And you can see that the whole system is integrated beautifully into this piece of design, like a piece of work of art. Yeah, it doesn't protrude out like any other thing. In fact, most people will probably think of it as part of the art display there, right? Yeah. Okay. So we have come to the end. I purposely kept it as short as I can because in many of our workshops, we have realized that many of us have so many questions, which we would like to use this section to work towards empowering, enhancing as many people as we can to understand the impact. As for me, after 7 years in 12 countries, we have seen big corporations, including major bank, including major property development, including major CEOs, just like the last house you have seen, all have achieved better health, quality sleep, able to perform even better, and less judgmental, resulting in better relationship between home, colleague and the society. So before any question is being asked, we would like to request Veron to see whether she can play the last video, which I have accidentally deleted it out just now because we didn't have any sound. So let's switch over to Veron to see whether this very successful entrepreneur.com wizard have made a lot of money and went on to develop environmental saving electricity component, eventually went into Institute of Mental Health during his peak, right? So I'll switch over to Veron after the video, we switch back for the next half an hour or so for more question and answer. Veron?
Okay, you cancel the slide first. Okay. So let me get the PowerPoint out. Okay, let me just play this video. Okay.
Went to IMH.
Can you hear?
To job, and particularly is doing something that you are not.
Yes.
With. So eventually that can result. And in my recovery course, I understand at the back of my mind, I need to find some ways. You know, you can talk about a healthy body. I'm a marathon runner. I do Spartan. You talk about healthy mind. I do Qigong. But I know there's something else we need, is our soul. So I start working on my soul and stuff like that. And I had chance the opportunity to know Dr. Michael, that we all felt the environment is important, because I came from the lighting industry. We look at the circadian light. That's how we get engaged with each other. With proper light, our body function properly because we have a circadian rhythm. And when he shared with me about this Geopathic, I was like, okay, I do Qigong, can you measure? Man, I look at the moment he put a handphone on my hand, all my readings all went haywire. I said, okay, very interesting. So when I go deeper and start understanding, I felt that, you see, when we have COVID, everybody check temperature. At 36.9, we function properly. But why are we depriving ourselves of having the right body cell voltage, which is minus 70 millivolts? And as an engineer, right, we know that a lot of devices function on 12 volt. You give them 11.99 cannot function. But our body can function with quite a big tolerance, minus 30 millivolt to minus 70. But when do we know it's going to drop? So the first thing I do is I put harmonizer at home, I put hydrogen water at home, and I also wear a personal harmonizer.
Can you take it out and show people?
Things actually, mine is a limited edition, okay, titanium one.
Yeah.
Sure one, not the rocky one.
Yes.
So it has done a lot of miracle for me in my recovery process. I become more alert, more focused, more mindful about things around me, and of course, as I embrace a new faith, it's also helped me in understanding God's words. And very interestingly, my wife does Qigong with me. She also had one of these. And one day I realized that 2 weeks, she never practiced a Qigong. I asked her, what happened? You don't practice on Qigong? Oh, with this I'm more energetic, so get a little bit relieved. But we felt that we need a total system. Now you have a good body, you have a good mindset, etc. Now it's really the environment. So if the environment is not supporting, then you can forget about it. It's just like today, if you got fever, 38 degrees Celsius, you forget about going anywhere. Or if you are not vaccinated, right? People say, hey, sorry, you cannot come to the restaurant in the US, that's what you're doing. So in the same note, if we have a proper environment that allows us to be in the right geopathic stress, electromagnetic radiation, in fact it harmonizes it. We create a harmony environment and enjoy life better with proper condition. This we call ambient, ambient. Thank you. Thank you.
By the way, Vincent can just share with us, some maybe slight changes among all your children after your home is properly balanced?
I think the best outcome of it is that there are less quarrel. We are more tolerant of each other, whether we are rushing to school or rushing to work. And at the same time, actually, my daughter is quite amazing. During our toughest period, she became the president of the school council. And eventually, during last year COVID, she managed to kind of lead the school, etc. She got 3 MOE awards now. Don't know what eagle, don't know best progress, don't know what. So, and even my son is taking his PSLE this year. He get more motivated and say, oh, okay, he start to have targets for the school. And my eldest daughter, in fact last year, my 2 daughters, one O-level, A-level, their result, fantastic, no tuition until the last minute. They said, we need tuition on mathematics. They pump mathematics, they managed to pass. But on their core subject like history, economics, or literature, all those, they scored. So I thought, it's very nice. Everybody has a clearer mind. Even my daughter now applying university to explore outside Singapore. So her mindset is, okay, if I get it, then we talk. Don't get it, never mind. I still have other local university, but get it, then we decide what to do next. So I thought that is a very good logical path. So in a nutshell, we have more happy times. Even during COVID, we had a lot of bonding time, whether eating, cooking, or even exercising. So that is, money cannot buy one. That harmonizing is worth that whatever you're going to pay, because the value that it gives you is much more than that dollar value. And by the way, I'm not very rich.
Okay, so that is the sharing by Vincent. Now there's another sharing that I want to show. Yeah. This lady, she's very sensitive.
Hi, I have been very sensitive to this EMS, which is the radiation, especially from the phone. And then, but I cannot avoid using phone because nowadays, even we enter a building, we need to use phone. But somehow I feel my hand start to have numbness and even headache. So I happened to come across this Geopathic, and then I came to the workshop, and then Wendy gave me this pendant to try, and then it was a steel metal pendant. So at the beginning, I tried a steel pendant, and then when I hold my hand for, I still can feel the radiation, the warmth. But when Wendy changed to a titanium one, which I'm wearing now, and holding the handful, I feel the radiation is a lot mild, only a slight of it. And then I can also feel the pendant is radiating something very strongly from the pendant itself.
That's right, it's amazing. But not everybody is sensitive to all this radiation. And another one I want to show is actually how Dr. Michael, how Dr. Michael actually do the auditing. Take a look.
Without the rod.
So
This is at City Go Singapore.
Electromagnetic disturbance, known as Hartmann line and Curry line, discovered by the German almost 200 years ago.
Okay.
Right. So as I walked, the moment they detected this erratic field, the Lecker antenna developed by Dr. Ernst Lecker in 1897, which became a scientific instrument, will detect and the antenna will fall forward or backward. So you can see there's a line here, which is known as a Hartmann line. Right, and they are always symmetrical. So there's another line here, and this line have an erratic field of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200, 210, 220, 230, 240, 250, 260.
That's how Dr. Michael count the GS.
So according to the original audit on the layout plan, is also up to a maximum of 300. So as I move again, there's another line here. As you can see, they are all symmetrical line. Right. So what?
Now the next video is to see after harmonizing.
So you can see again, the antenna is oscillating, but it does not collapse.
So you can see a green shadow there.
This side seems to indicate
There's an angel, huh?
electric field. As you can see,
There's a guardian angel that's falling.
Because the rod is further.
Yeah, further plus this side may have a slightly higher field. But this light is moving forward, backward. It doesn't collapse until it reaches the limit, which we are coming near to the limit. So as you know, when you come to the limit, yes, which is about the same after the common corridor way.
Yeah.
All right, so I hand over back to Michael. Any questions from the floor? For the necklace, does it have effect if we place it upright next to us when we go to bed?
Okay, the answer is it have effect, but unfortunately, due to the size, is only about 0.5 meter. So even you put it at the bedside, you may protect your head, but may not necessarily protect the other part of the organ. As you know that most of our system are here. That this is the part where we have most of the major organ, from your heart to your liver, to your kidney, to your stomach, to your ovary, to your testes, everything is here. So by putting it beside, you may be able to protect the software, but you cannot protect the main biological function. Yes, so it has only 0.5. Plus, even at 0.5, it doesn't have enough capacity, just like a 1 terabyte hard disk versus a 64 gig hard disk. It doesn't have enough capacity to protect the 8 hours flat lying down that is interacting with the geomagnetic field. But when you're wearing, when you're outside, you are moving. So you're not stationed at a single place like the bed for 8 hours. So it's enough to subtly create a soft field like a firewall. Yeah. But when you are sedated, it is a different technology and different capacity, especially when you are sleeping.
All right, any other questions? You can either type or you can unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself to ask the questions, all right? Okay, for myself, I got to know Dr. Michael only in 2018, 3 years ago. When I started the Tanglin outlet, he was, Dr. Michael helped me to grace that outlet as well. And after he graced the event, I hardly see him. For 3 years, he was traveling. It's so difficult to make appointment with him. So I hardly see him until Chinese New Year this year in
Yeah, now it's very difficult to get consignment made.
Can you mute them, Ellen?
So her daughter is going to her house.
I remain seated most of the time. Would it still work? I move less when at work for 12 to 14 hours. What does she mean? I move less when at work for 12 to 14 hours. That's why your workplace also must be harmonized. If you are sitting on the vortex for 12 to 14 hours, you are also in trouble, because that 12 to 14 hours, the geopathic stress will keep draining your energy as well. Dr. Michael.
Yeah, and on top of that, you are working in front of a screen. So it's very draining, right? So you have wireless technology. On top of that, you have natural and man-made disrupted technology that affect the Mother Earth frequency that become geopathic stress. So as I say, the pendant that we are all wearing is good when I'm moving, right? It is similar to a dynamo. A dynamo will have to move in order to generate a small little electricity to light up your light bulb, right? So due to the size that was not possible in the first 3 years, we could not shrink it because we did not find the correct ability to shrink the internal core, right? So when this was created, it was purely for subtle protection for those who are on the move, right? However, when we are stationed in a single space, the electromagnetic field is a lot more stronger than when you are moving, right? So imagine if you have a 4-line vortex at the place where you sleep and at the place that you may be sitting, you have 24 or maybe even 14 hours. So you just imagine you have 14 hours running your computer or your notebook, but the battery have only 8 hours. So you just imagine this run only 8 hours. After 8 hours, it doesn't have enough charge anymore, right? So that's why the home system is developed uniquely for home, for office, where we may stay long hours without moving, right? Whereas when you are moving, you can't carry 1 or even 3 rods into the plane or, with you. And this is a small that work like a mini battery charger. When you need it, it is there, but it cannot last very long. Yeah.
Okay. What is the price? Okay, let me show you the price. The price. The price is here. Sorry. Okay, the price is here. We have the big rod. It comes in a set of 3. It is $5,390. And then we have the miniature rod. It's 1 piece only. It's $1,680. And we have the pendant. The pendant, we have 2 types. We have rose gold and gold. That is $2,280. And then we have the titanium, which is $1,490. So right now, if you are able to send your floor plan to us, make sure that you have your name there and also your address. So these are the key thing, like your IP of your phone, so that Dr. Michael is able to audit your house just based on your floor plan. And also will be able to audit how much is your GS, the geopathic stress. That means how toxic is your house. So we can quantify it for you, all right? And then once you take action now, the auditing is supposed to be $268. And now because you attend this webinar, it's only $68. So you have to pay $68 before we give you the audited floor plan. And then for installation, we also, Dr. Michael himself will do the installation for you in your house. It's supposed to be $268, but now we're going to do it at 50% off, $134. He will travel to your house and install for you. He will use the lacquer antenna to check which corner of your house to install for you. All right? Any other question? Any other question? Okay, just now I was sharing halfway. I got to know Dr. Michael about 3 years ago. For 3 years, we totally lost contact because he was traveling very often, hardly in Singapore. It was only February this year, Chinese New Year. Then we catch up again, and it was at IKEA Tampines, So we were catching up, and then he started telling me, he came out with essential oil, he came out with water, he came out with energy of life machine, he came out with the harmonizer. So it's like, wow, suddenly so many new things. I was so excited. And then I went to his office at Novena Medical Center. I got to understand also about his new coffee discovery as well. And after that, February onward, I told him that at Adelphi, we have an office there that is underutilized. So we want to convert that place to run workshop. So some of you have already attended workshop on the 4th floor at Adelphi. And then I also started to harmonize my house. So only in March, I harmonized my house. And it's so amazing that these 2 months, I do not see ants crawling in my house. Normally, ant medicine is every time I buy one. I never stop buying ant medicine one because I don't like to see those ants crawling all over the kitchen, And now for 2 months, I never buy any ant medicine and I don't see any ants crawling in my house. And the other thing that is very, very obvious is my shoe cupboard. My shoes always get moldy. Especially I have one pair, which is a snake skin leather. Well, that one get moldy very fast. But the last 2 months, my shoe never get moldy anymore. And the most amazing thing is I thought I menopause already 18 months ago. But on the 10th of June, my menses start again. So, it actually restored my youth, no? And I was so amazed. I was so amazed myself. Yeah. So once the whole house is harmonized, the office is harmonized, the health is restored, the wealth is restored, the relationship is restored, everybody is harmonized. It's so amazing. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Any other?
Ron, just wondering, the set of 3, if let's
Yeah.
say due to budget issues that we wanted to buy maybe a set of 2 or 1, is it
It doesn't work
possible?
that way. What, Dr. Michael, you want to answer? You can.
Okay,
Yeah.
the set of 3 is designed to interact with each other to create the feel, right? So if you are looking into buying, let's say 1, then you would want to just concentrate on, let's say, the master bedroom. Yeah, that's about all. And that itself is about 4 by 4, which is about 16 square feet. Yes. Yeah. But again, when you are looking at a home where everybody is living, and when you have an erecting field exceeding 500 to 1,000, based on our 7 years, 12 country experience, the medium-sized rod is still not capable of managing the entire erecting field. That's the reason why we hardly promote the medium rod unless someone shared with us that they are buying it for traveling. You know that today a lot of entrepreneur, CEO, director, they travel heavily, including myself, 1 month, about 20 days. And we cannot bring 3 rod because it doesn't make sense. And custom may be a bit of a challenge when they bring this 3 rod, right? So this is time that we strongly recommend for those who truly understood the technology, and for those who already experienced improvement, many of them will buy a medium rod purely for traveling. But for home, we don't also want to recommend whether the medium or the complete system without doing a proper audit, because out of every 100 home or 1,000 home, you may have 1 to 2 house that is in perfect health and you don't need to spend the money. So we never believe in selling because you want to buy, but the principle is get your house audit and then look at the report and then look at your family life challenge, if any, and then we can talk and decide what is the best solution.
I see. Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, whether your house is 80 square meter, 100 square meter, or 500 square meter, you still need the 3 rods because the miniature rod is only for 16 square meter. 16, 1/6.
Yeah, I saw it is a small area.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
small.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's only around your queen size bed.
Okay,
Yeah.
noted. Thank you.
Right. Okay, any other question? Did you get value so far?
I have a question.
Yes.
How long does it last? Must we review or maintain it like every year or something like that?
Okay, the system is designed to work on Earth electromagnetic field naturally, so it lasts as long as Mother Earth is still in existence. Number 1. Number 2, there's no recalibration, but every few years you may need a second audit if you feel something is not correct, because let's say, example, your home does not have an MRT line. Now, 5 years in the future, an MRT line is built 500 meters to 1 kilometer away from your home. Now, there will be a change of cracked earth magnetism within the next 5 kilometers. Or suddenly you have, let's say, another 30-story building coming up, within the next 2-3 kilometers from your home. Yeah. So when this thing happen, you will definitely need a realignment. Basically, you don't need to spend any money except, just a re-audit, and then we'll reposition for you. That's about all. The rod will last perpetually for the rest of the life, including similar to a heirloom. You can pass it into the next generation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
thanks.
of course, when you shift house, you bring it with you. You don't leave it in your old house. So it's perpetually with the family wherever you go.
Thank you.
You're
Bring
welcome.
along to your old house, to your new house, yes. Yeah, before you bring to your new house, get your house audited, and then Dr. Michael will also advise you where to place the 3 rods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the second time, I don't really have to visit you, so that almost everyone can save the $200. Simply because during my first installation, I would have already shown you exactly how to install. So the realignment, I just have to give you the new position. Unless you want to invite me for coffee, I'm more than happy.
Yeah. Okay. Is this harmonizer can be removed? Yes, it's actually placed on the stand.
Yes. For all home harmonizer, it is placed on the base. Let me show you my own piece.
Yeah. In my house, Dr. Michael came and installed for me.
So you can see that this
Yeah.
is my unit in my study room. So there's a base, yeah, and all you do is to plug into the base, and it's usually put at the corner. Example, in this particular room that I'm working, it is in the the window ledge area. So it's actually very simple. And once in the wall, you just take a dry tissue or dry cloth to take away any dust that may be stuck to it, because it's negative. Negative potential means it's basically like a negative ion, so it attracts dust.
Okay, so do send your floor plan to us in the group chat, and remember to put in your address as well as your name, so that we know this floor plan belongs to you. And when Dr. Michael audit also, he needs the address, yeah. And once it's audited ready, then you let us know whether you want to install. Then we have to book appointment with Dr. Michael to install for you. How much is the total cost of the harmonizer? It's $5,390 for a set of 3 rods to harmonize your whole house. Now, for me, I'm staying in a 4-room flat. So because the 4-room flat is only about maybe 100 square meter. So actually, when Dr. Michael installed for me, it benefit my neighbor. The right side, left side, above, below, all benefited just because I install it here. Yes. Because
like you created a bigger firewall, just like our advanced warning aeroplane that is flying 24/7 to protect Singapore against any intrusion. So the moment the harmonizer is up, beside regulating, it is technically similar to a firewall. So any erratic field that is going to enter will be modulated. That's why it's also called a modulator or a tuning fork or tuning system.
yes. All right. So any other question? Because something that is in the environment we can't see doesn't mean it's not there. You know, one handphone can call all the way to China. One handphone can call US. You know how much of radiation is being emitted while the conversation is going on, right? So all this we can't see doesn't mean it's not there. And it's so harmful to the environment. It's so harmful to the natural frequency and vibration.
Yeah, for airplane, in fact, for those who fly heavily, like myself, this become highly important. Why? Because as you know, when you're up in the plane, up in the high-speed train, almost every other day, the amount of stress that we are facing is very high. So this will actually regulate our heart in relation to Mother Earth heartbeat, and at the same time regulate all the stress field that is hitting us 24/7. So for me, I do not remove even when I bathe. The only time you need to remove is the titanium 18K gold plated. Yeah, but this is a different one. This is a pure 18K for practitioner, not for normal people. Yeah.
Okay, any other question?
And you can walk through almost technically every single screening device in the airport and they cannot detect it unless in China, after you walk through, they still use a metal scanner right in front, then it will beep. So what I do is in China airport, I will take it and put outside so that they know that I'm wearing something. To them, they take it as you're wearing like, you know, a jewelry or amulet, especially for the Chinese, yeah. Whereas in every country, you can walk in and out without the door detecting this device because it have a unique feel by itself that make it almost like steel, invisible.
Okay, if we need more information, who do we contact? Definitely contact me in the GA.
Yes, I'm more into the research and project. So once COVID is unlocked, I'm technically never in Singapore because all my major projects you see are in Malaysia, in China, in Russia, in Taiwan, Thailand, and Vietnam. So up to 20 over days, I'm never in Singapore. And when I'm back, I'm actually you know, too tired to meet people. So I take a break to meet friends for coffee, just to take a break. Then you know, the next day I'm out again. Yeah. So that's the reason why in Singapore we are so privileged to have someone like Veron who is so dedicated to this journey.
Yes, because for me, I believe in total wellness. It is not just one pill can cure everything, one pill can cure everything, or one water can cure everything. Total wellness. Every area is important. That's why we organize this summit to invite so many different speakers to share about their different expert fields, to share about their different expertise, their wellness advice, the different modalities that we can learn. There are so many things that we can learn about the healing power of our body. All right. So we are very, very privileged to have Dr. Michael, who was so passionate about this environmental health that he went all over the world, do all the research, and now he is able to come up with a solution. Now, no point, he give you the audit, and then he say, oh, your house is 2,000, 3,000 GS, and then no solution for you. The important thing is there must be a solution. If there's no solution, no point auditing. If there's no solution, no point knowing, right? So the important thing is we have a solution, and that is where we are able to restore a complete wellness for your family, for yourself. All right.
And not just the solution, it is highly sustainable, measurable solution, right? There are many solutions available if you go to the internet. Yeah, they could be a internet reseller. Yeah, and you can buy a product. And when you need a service, you may not know where to go, right? But even more challenging today is that there are many products in health and wellness, but there's no monitoring. Now, courtesy again of Energia, Veron has spent last many years
11 years.
Yeah, perfecting and understanding how to measure bioenergy, starting with blood and then going beyond that using the archiograph. Incidentally, 20 years ago, I was the major sole distributor across the whole Asia until I decided to travel. I gave up my distribution until recently. I took it back because I realized that a lot of people lack the confidence because they cannot be monitored. And without a visual tools, just like an MRI, just like a CAT scan, we really do not know whether what is happening, right? So a solution without the ability to monitor is only 50% done. A solution with proper monitoring enable us to change course when something go beyond our current understanding so that we can continuously manage the environment and our individual and family health and wellness in relation to the entire environment, taking into consideration the air, the water, the light, the EMF, and the geomagnetic. So geomagnetic and EMF, these two form a very powerful contribution towards energy restoration or energy robbing, right? So not knowing this and not doing this basic, we will spend a lot of money looking for intervention because it will keep hitting us after 1 month, 3 months of improvement. And as your biological battery drop, your symptoms will come back again, right? So while the biological battery is stimulated, protected, and optimized, when you have, let's say, a hard disk failure, you still have to change your hard disk, right? So, but with a strong biological battery, the recuperation, the rehabilitation will see amazing result. So remember, biological power give birth to function, give birth to control. Take away the battery, just our cell phone, nothing else is going to work, right? You can keep changing the bulb, temporary, but the electricity is not stable. So your bulb every 3 months, you have to keep changing, right? Now you have the wrong software, again, you have imbalance biological energy distribution leading to imbalance homeostasis, leading to dysfunction. So, but without the battery, the rest of it is technically not functional at all. That's how important, but yet how insignificant the understanding and the ability to manage this. Because for years, I see many of my friends, my relatives, my client, my patient, one after another pass away. So I've been asking myself, why? So it took me 20 years to find the core of sustainability, but it doesn't do the repair work. So if you are sick, you still need to see the doctor, you still need to see your TCM, because there is already a system failure or semi-failure. But without the biological battery, nothing is going to really save us.
Yes. So thank you very much. It's already 8:30. So I'm just going to do a little bit of closing. Okay. Yeah. So Monday I did a presentation. I just a reminder, if you want to if you want to have a free echograph analysis, please give us a call, and then we can have miracle energy of life therapy for you. Also, yeah, and we can test water if you can visit us at Adelphi, and this is the action that you can take right now. Audit your floor plan, and then once it's audited, you decide whether you want to harmonize your house. All right. So free Energia therapy, you can WhatsApp me. And if you want to find out more, you can visit our website, www.energia.sg, or you can go to our YouTube link. We have some webinars there. You can also watch the webinar again. And these are the 2 books that you can download from the website as well. So once every one of us take control of our health, we can create a world full of healthy and wealthy people. That's our long-term vision. Now, this Saturday, we will have Elaine Cole. Elaine Cole, she's a stress management and wellness strategist, and she's going to share about learn simple light key tools to feel better instantly. All right. So don't forget to tune in on Saturday, 7 p.m. sharp, and the Zoom room will open at 6:45 p.m. All right. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to serve you well, and we see you again on Saturday. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.